Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, December 11th, 2015. I am Dave Biddle. I am very happy to be joined by Bucknuts contributor Jonah Booker. It's a little hard to believe we're exactly from Christmas and 3 weeks away from Ohio State's game against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. JBook, sounds like Adolphus Washington tried to get his holiday jollies a little early. He was cited for solicitation by Columbus police on Wednesday. Very reminiscent of the Antonio Henton situation during the Jim Tressel era. JBook, Washington will have his day in court next Thursday, December 17th. It's only a misdemeanor offense. Therefore, my question for you is, sir, what should be and what will be Adolphus Washington's punishment from Urban Meyer?
His biggest punishment, Dave, is the embarrassing coverage that's coming with this. So his name, I was watching TV probably about an hour ago, watching the award show, and all of a sudden it's scrolling on an ESPN bar that Adolphus Washington was ticketed for solicitation. That right there itself is embarrassing enough of a punishment. But as far as internal, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be probably the most in shape defensive lineman going into the bowl game, because they'll run his butt off in practice for one, just embarrassing the program. But as far as game time punishment, I can't see anything more than a first half series being sit out, not starting the game. But as you mentioned, it was a misdemeanor. He was cited for a ticket. He'll get his day in court. It was stupid. He should have known better. I mean, you're a football player on Ohio State campus, for goodness sake. I'm sure you don't have to go out and solicit someone. So as far as the embarrassment, running extra in practice and maybe sitting out the first series in the Fiesta Bowl would be enough punishment for me.
Yeah, just for the listeners, for those that don't know, Adolphus is a good young man. He's never been in trouble before. I've talked to him since he was in high school. He's always struck me as mature beyond his years. Those that didn't do anything wrong in college, cast the first stone. No one's going to defend his actions here. I'm just letting you know, this is a senior that's kept his nose clean the entire time. He's a guy that I was surprised wasn't captain to begin the year. He's a guy that just has always been a good guy, and I'm willing to give him a mulligan here. I agree with you. I think at the very worst, I've said the very worst is he'll be suspended for the first half. But the more I think about it, I don't even think that's in play. I think probably more like, as you're saying, a series. Some people that are concerned he's going to miss the game, and I brought up Antonio Henton earlier. Antonio Henton was suspended for several games, but I think with everything Adolphus Washington has done for Ohio State, the fact he's kept his nose clean for 4 years, this is his first strike that I'm aware of, I'm with you. I'll be surprised if Urban Meyer, especially with this being his last game, Adolphus Washington's last game, I'll be surprised if Urban Meyer really lays the hammer down anything more than, like you're saying, like a series.
Right, and think about this, Dave. What does Urban Meyer, what does he come out and say in the past when people in the media is like, oh, he should have been suspended? Urban Meyer always comes back and reference how much bank that particular player has built up within the program, meaning has this player, like you said, been doing the right things throughout his tenure at Ohio State? People wanted Ezekiel Elliott to be suspended for the Michigan game for calling out the coaching staff. What did Urban Meyer say? Ezekiel has built up enough bank within the program that we're going to go ahead and handle this internally. He didn't miss a snap against Michigan.
All right, switching gears, as I'm very happy to do, because I like Adolphus personally. I have to admit, I'm biased. I like the kid. I mean, I've always thought of him as a grown man. Like I said, when I was talking to him when he was in high school, I feel like I'm talking to like a guy that's like 25 or 30. I mean, he's always carried himself that way. So I hope this blows over and this is not anything that's going to tarnish him. And I don't think it will, but hopefully he will get a chance to play the majority of that Fiesta Bowl. So switching gears, JBook, let's talk some recruiting. If you had to pick which 2016 quarterback will end up signing with Ohio State, who is it?
Smart money is on Dwayne Haskins. This is a guy that Ohio State coveted early on. Our own Bill Curley announced to the board that current Ohio State commit Tristan Wallace will be taking visits to UCLA as well as Oregon. He's in talks with Baylor. That right there alone lets me know that Tristan Wallace will not be in his class. I would be very surprised if he's in his class. This late in the game, you typically don't see quarterbacks out here taking, visits, having a second guess. And I think a lot of that also has to do with Ohio State. But you look at Haskins, he's a kid that grew up a huge Ohio State fan. During the recruiting process, he even said that if Ohio State would have allowed things to play out, he probably would have committed to the Buckeyes. But Ohio State, they were kind of pushing for a commitment early on. He wasn't ready. With Loxley out at Maryland, he was a big reason that Haskins committed there. And he's taking a visit to Ohio State. I like where Ohio State stands right now with Haskins, and this is a guy who has absolutely a cannon of an arm. He has the accuracy. He's a perfect dual-threat quarterback. He's more polished than Wallace coming into college right now. So if Ohio State is able to parlay a Dwayne Haskins for Tristan Wallace, and don't get me wrong, I like Tristan Wallace, but he really didn't have that good of a year that a lot of people were expecting coming off that knee injury. So if they're able to parlay their quarterback commitment into Haskins, that's a heck of a feather in the hat for Urban Meyer.
And then real quick, looking at 2017 quarterback recruiting, the Buckeyes obviously have Danny Clark in the class. I've said for a long time I think they're going to have two quarterbacks in that class. Read the tea leaves for me. Do you think when all is said and done, the Buckeyes will have two quarterbacks in their 2017 class?
We talked about this summer, Dave, and one of my caveats that I said is going to be dependent on how Danny Clark looks this year, because last year he didn't have a very good year. This year he went up to Hoban, had a state championship underneath his belt. He looked pretty good this year. So depending on how the quarterback situation plays out this year, if they're able to get Haskins, I think they're going to stick with Clark, because he did show that an improvement that a lot of people was looking for this past football season.
All right, final topic, Ohio State basketball. Tomorrow, high noon, at UConn. Yes, at UConn, tomorrow at noon. Game televised by CBS. We'll have that big game feel to CBS, acting like it's a NCAA tournament game. However, Buckeyes are struggling and then some, 4-4 on the season. They have won 2 in a row against bad competition. The Huskies are not great. They're 5-3 on the season. They're in the others receiving votes. So the first in the others receiving votes in the AP, so they'd be 26th in the country if those counted. But still, going to Stores, Connecticut, I don't know, JBook. Can Thad Matta's crew make it 3 wins in a row this season? I doubt it. What's your take?
I'm skeptical. I agree with you. I mean, this is a young basketball team, Dave. Everyone knew going into the season that it's going to take a lot of growing pains with this group, trying to get them to jail. UConn, they're not the UConn of the old, but they're still a solid basketball team. They're still scrappy. For me, I'm going to say Ohio State, they're not going to be able to get it done up in UConn, but they will put in an effort that's respectable. And if I'm Thad Matta, even if I don't win this basketball game, the one thing that I want to take away is my team is competing. They're continuing to striving to get better. And as this young team continues to gel as they get into conference play, that's what you want, is a team that's starting to build a little bit confidence. You may not win the games. You may not win every game, but let's see if you're putting your best foot forward.
Thanks to the one and only Jonah Booker for sharing his knowledge. I really appreciate it, my man. And thanks to the listeners out there. I hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Some Buckeye swag, please. Best damn band in the land.